So let's kick on with our brand challenge for today. And our brand challenge comes to us from E.ON. So please give it up to Scott. So Scott, talk us through E.ON and your role at E.ON before we jump into the actual challenge.
Yeah, of course. So thanks, to you for having us along. Thanks for coming inside as well, although it's not really hot. It's still sunny outside, so appreciate you all coming inside. So yeah, as mentioned, so I'm Scott. I look after, or try to look after, the sort of marketing efforts that we have in the UK. So that covers owned, earned, and paid side of things. So me and my team, who do obviously the real work, not me, we try and sit and pull things together. And ultimately, the story we've got at E.ON, I joined just over a decade ago now. And at that point, obviously, we had our customer business, but it was all about big power stations and fossil fuel power stations. And the change we've had since then is the growth of renewables, so wind farms. And then we're entering kind of almost a third age of energy at the moment, which is very much around what we talk about, decentralized generation, decentralized energy, ultimately solar panels, batteries, electric vehicle charging, and that change where we're all going to have energy solutions in our house. So that's the challenge we've got as a brand at the moment. How do we shift our consumers, our customers' thoughts from the provision of electricity and gas, still really important, particularly so at the minute around cost of living, but how do we change that? And the only way we can get away from more expensive fossil fuels imported from abroad is for more of us to put solar panels on our house, to make use of batteries in cars. So that's what we'll talk a little bit about today. That's the challenge we've set, some really exciting companies, and looking forward to hearing all about it.
Awesome. So you've got, obviously you made a big investment in sustainability. You're looking to move consumers into that space. What are you looking for in today's startups?
Yeah, so the challenge we've set today is very much, how can we help us as a business, but also consumers, customers in general, how can we move from all talking a good game on climate crisis, taking action against it, to actually doing something about it? Our boss at E.ON talks a lot about the fact that the science hasn't changed in 30 or 40 years. The only thing that's changed is how little time we now have left to do stuff about it. And almost that inaction that we're all guilty of, me certainly, and most people, we all try and do a little bit. But how can we help people actually make those changes? Because I think the great thing about sustainability now is those changes you can make, they're actually for the better. So you might change because of climate crisis, but actually the positive impact you'll have is about air pollution. So you might want to do it to help the planet, but you'll save a few quid doing it as well. You might improve your health. So it's those action points we want to get across to consumers. So that's what we're looking forward to hearing about today. Through our media, how can we get consumers to action rather than just talking a good game?
Okay, brilliant. Well, Scott set the challenge. E.ON's put 20K on the line to pilot an innovative solution from today's pitches. We've got 6 companies lined up. The way this is going to work is each of the 6 companies will come up, do a 3-minute pitch, and then we've got time for 1 or 2 quick questions after that from Scott. So let's get this show on the road. And obviously a huge amount of our attention is now being diverted into gaming, and a company that's helping brands show up in-game and give a great in-game experience is Bidstack. From Bidstack, please welcome John.
Okay, hello. 3 minutes. Here we go. Okay, yes. So I'm here from Bidstack. My name is John Kennedy. I'm the partnership manager there. But what did Bidstack do? Bidstack are the leading in-game advertising partner. Bit of a video here to show off some of our technology, because it does look very cool. Essentially, what we do is give brands access and help them to enter the actual real-world gaming environment. Okay? The way that's done is we can take live programmatically, we take your real 2-dimensional game assets and we render them into the real-world game environment instantly. So that's all the textures, all the shading on all the signs. It allows you to see that your 2-dimensional asset is an actual gameplay. What's very important to us is credibility. So the gaming audience is huge, with 3 billion people playing worldwide. The industry itself is bigger than the combination of the movie industry and the music industry together. So the audience is there. On this innovation stage, it's kind of difficult, but as a medium, gaming's already there. What we have is a new sort of technology to reach that audience. But is the audience relevant to E.ON in this conversation? Oh yeah, luckily. We found the stats to prove it. So gamers in the environment are very intrinsically linked, with 53% of gamers believing that the environment is vital, 50% being in the market currently for an electric vehicle or hybrid car, and 46% would actively avoid brands with a poor environmental record. And that makes a lot of sense when you think about it. The gaming audience are very tech-focused and very forward-thinking. So the idea of looking for a hybrid car or the next solution to a problem makes sense. Not only that, but the gaming audience have a lot of purchasing power. As the audience ages up, they have more responsibilities, more things to pay for. For example, I do the electricity in my house now, and I'm with Bulb currently, so I'm looking for offers. If you've got any discounts, that's great. Also, what we're going to do to really truly launch it into gaming is to run across our full portfolio. So we've got a wide array of over 100 different gaming publishers across all the brands you can see here. We want to put E.ON in front of all of them, in the actual gameplay. So there's no more credible place to be in the game, and no more place where dwell time is led than in the actual gameplay. Putting E.ON in front of gamers across football games, racing games, shooting games, everything. And one important thing to flag there on the previous slide, which I've skipped through, is attention. So attention is talked about a lot, especially here in the last few weeks. Now, there's no other way that you can drive more attention than in a gameplay. You can't second screen when if you look away from the first screen, you're going to crash the car. You're going to miss a shot, a goal, you're going to lose the game. There's no more high attention medium, and that's what we're going to do. The second one is we've already established an interest in electric cars with E.ON, especially yourselves, and we're going to put players in the actual driving seat and allow them to engage with electric vehicles in the game. We launched back in December on a few of our racing titles, electric vehicles such as Porsches, Jaguars, which already exist and allow players to play in those cars. We're going to brand them all up with E.ON branding across the game. Not just allowing players to engage with E.ON actively, but to seek them out within gameplay and approach the brand, linking you to the huge growth of electric cars in the last little while, but also kind of playing on that attention. And last of all, the big kind of idea. To drive the conversation, we're going to create the UK's biggest conversation by running a 24-hour streamathon. Following the build-up of a month's placements in game and the launch of electric cars, we're going to work with London United, the London-based esports team who focus on social issues, to run a 24-hour streamathon across a variety of viral games, fish out of water, broadcasting that across the UK to a huge gaming audience. And not only that, because I know you're going to ask, it's all going to be powered by solar panels outside of the studio. So that's how we're going to allow E.ON to change the game and push the environmental conversation forward.
Really good, thank you. And finally, nice to have someone with a proper accent as well doing it. It always helps. In terms of for a more traditional brand like us, clearly, and my team do a great job in trying to change that. We've got a bit. It's just, it's obviously a slow challenge we have in changing the perception of the brand. Do you think across that gaming audience, I guess that those gamers will give us permission to step into their world? It's not a natural place that you would find a big energy company back in the day. I get that that's why it's a good thing for us to maybe step there, but do you think we'll be met with any resistance?
Yeah, that's a very good point. And to be fair, as the gaming audience is quite resistant to obtuse branding or pushing it in your face. That's kind of what we specialize in, and that's kind of why I took the job, because reach them in a credible way is quite a delicate balance. Just putting an ad in front of someone in gameplay can be very frustrating. That's why in the actual gameplay, none of it's clickable, none of it takes you to an external site on some of the titles you've seen there. It's all about being part of that virtual world. And in a way, kind of, the majority of our games are sport-based. A lot of them are sport-based. And that makes sense because if you're playing Skyrim or some medieval Tithe or something, it'd be weird to see an E.ON brand on a shield. It looks stupid. Whereas in a racing environment or a football environment, you're bombarded with logos all the time. So it makes sense for that to be a brand like E.ON. Also, to be fair, you, in a way, are enhancing the player's experience. With a lot of players games being free to play, they see it as E.ON kind of helping that game maintain the free to play.
And slightly linked to that, and I know you had a stat early on in the deck, but how do we make sure we stay on the right side of being positive about the change? Because obviously gaming can use an awful lot of power. It's right that we have a conversation about making sure that's renewable, et cetera, but again, how do we stay on the right side of being positive about the energy intensity, I guess, of gaming without coming across as being too preachy?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it is difficult, to be fair. I think when you compare gaming to other forms of media, we all need to work on our environmental credentials. That's fair across the board. I think a lot of these steps to be made, more need to be made. But with getting rid of the idea of plastic copies or physical copies of games, that's reduced that. But also, you got to think about the actual gameplay. People aren't turning on their console to see adverts. It's a behavior we're capitalizing on by pasting ads in there. So it's already something people are doing. So in terms of environmental impact, it's kind of relatively negligible in a way. In terms of maintaining that positive side of the conversation, I think it's like being authentic. And just like I say, it's a very difficult question to answer. You think about it, because it's hard to explain how you're authentic and how you're credible. But I think that's what we specialize in, and we'll work together on.
Good. And then super quickly, what's the one thing you've done so far? What's the sort of brand that you've put in a game? What's the bit you're most proud of so far?
Yeah. Well, it's a really cool company to work for, and we've done loads of good campaigns in the past. I think the coolest one I can remember was for Paco Rabanne, won some awards, and it was a huge campaign across a variety of things. There was car wraps, there was a virtual reality game, which was played by one of the US soccer team players. And so if you remember, there's this Paco Rabanne ball you get at the moment, it's a little robot. They created that little robot in the game, and it was like your companion. It would come around with you in the game. And I thought that was a really cool way to integrate something that you wouldn't necessarily put perfume in a space game, but it made sense.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we looked at the world of gaming, and Bidstack shared their pitch. Quick feedback on Bidstack?
Yeah, so again, on Bidstack, it's one of those bits. We do a little bit with a couple of esports companies and some electric racing in the real world, which has been a really interesting step for us because it's about, again, borrowing their equity with a really different audience. And it's one of the bits, again, from my own life, mainly playing FIFA, but being of a certain age. It's one of the challenges we have internally is to, I guess, as marketers, is to bring the outside world into the business. And in that really weird way that the Today programme still talks about game launches as if it's some foreign thing, that us 40-year-olds are absolutely shelling out our money and paying money for. It's not just a kids thing. And you can see that in the game and some of the applications you've got already. So again, it's an area we've thought about working with. We've talked to the great team at Starcom that we have. But it's that piece of like, how do we take that plunge? And again, the power as consistent across the board, but the simplicity of it and the way that you've really clearly thought not just about your product, your execution, but how you would help our brand with it as well. So really appreciative of that. So it was great. Thank you.
And the winner is?
And the winner is, but I have to say, and genuinely, afterwards, we will continue the conversation with all of you. I think there's something in there for all of us from it. But definitely, I'd say really great presentations, really excited. But the team have spoken, and it's Bidstack that we'd love to work with.
Bidstack. Wow. Woo.